Hey everyone, thanks for joining me here. Emily Diamond, thanks for coming in to my page today. Abraham-Hicks, oh yes, love their teaching in terms of emotions are feedback, feedback around our environment, feedback around our quality of thought. Quality of thought determines your experience, determines your behavioral choices. Yes, but they have got a big thing wrong, and this irks me every time I hear it. And I've been around for a really long time in this industry, and a lot of the people that I see, I am unpicking the ineffective strategies that people have adapted from personal development and personal empowerment. Often they've had coaches before, or they've been to what's meant to be high quality therapy, or they've done a bunch of development programs. And absolutely, yes, no matter what, that is going to escalate your progress and accelerate the growth. It sometimes accelerates our challenges, but of course, that's where the growth is. And one of the things that I'm commonly unpicking the stitching of is this work around people thinking that they can just override their belief systems through conscious thought. And I've mentioned before in my videos, when we try to override unconscious and subconscious patterns, it's like using your little finger to try and do the work that's meant to be done with the bicep. It is labor intensive, it is repetitive, it takes a very, very, very long time, and you're dealing with big dominant neurology that you have to overcome. And when we're doing it consciously, we're overcoming it with will. So it's sort of like quitting smoking with willpower, okay, versus other adaptive strategies or unconscious strategies. People know it takes a lot of effort and it can be really, really painful. So this is some of the unpicking that is required often when people come to me and they've been exposed to that sort of teaching. And like I said, there's lots of validity in some of those teaching, but the teachings around belief systems, I have to call BS on. It is bullshit. It makes it so much harder for people to genuinely pay attention to the right thing, to pay attention to the area that's going to make the change when they put their energy into it. The expression that Abraham teaches is that a belief is a thought you just keep thinking. A belief is a thought that you just keep thinking. And from a neurological perspective, that's true. It's a nerve impulse that's just on repeat. However, beliefs sit in a very unusual position in terms of our consciousness. I like to think about that they're backstage, they're behind the curtain. So on the stage, that's your conscious mind. That's where you're seeing self-talk flying past. You're making some conscious choices. You're reflecting. You're doing decision making, all of that lovely conscious, maybe planning, creativity, all of those cool conscious, what we call executive functions, all the frontal lobe functions. But everything else is behind the stage, behind the curtain. And we all know it takes a lot more energy, effort, and infrastructure backstage to make the show look the way it looks. So often there's very few people out on the stage compared to the people backstage. And that to me is a really great representation of conscious versus subconscious or unconscious thought processes or conditioning. So beliefs sit in this paradigm of our subconscious. And that means that they directly influence what happens on the stage. So the beliefs that we have conditioned through social conditioning, personal experience, personal trauma, influenced by other people, things we've read, things we've enjoyed, positive experiences, negative experiences, all that informs our belief systems. And beliefs are simply what's true for you and what's false for you. It's very simple, super, super simple in terms of your nervous system. And they are subconscious, which means they're behind the curtain. So they inform our thoughts. So our belief systems inform our thoughts. I was giving an example the other day of a client who I did work with this week around a belief system around that her professional opinion isn't valid. And when we believe our professional opinion isn't valid, regardless of what our conscious knows, but I'm good at this and I'm smart at that and other people believe in me and look at my history with my business or my work and, oh, this is crazy, why do I feel this way? That belief was still conditioned as true in their nervous system. And then that determined the quality of thought, the type of thought, and then the emotional state, and then, of course, the behavior. So a belief is not simply a thought we keep thinking. Our beliefs generate our thoughts. Our beliefs are part of the formula that determines the type of thought we're having, the quality of it, the frequency, and then of course the subsequent emotional responses and emotional feedback we're going to have from it. So don't fall into the trap, please, please, please don't fall into the trap of thinking that you should be able to see your beliefs, be able to fully understand your beliefs, and that you should be able to just consciously change them. Abraham says it's a belief is a thought you just keep thinking. So stop thinking the thought. And the problem with beliefs is that we are not consciously thinking those thoughts. That's a subconscious condition and a subconscious patterning. Now, the subconscious is, like I said, it's like behind the curtain on a stage. And with most theatres, there's what's on the front of the stage, there's a curtain, there's backstage, and then there's what's really backstage, the green rooms and where people do makeup, and sometimes that's underneath. And really that's more your unconscious. That's your full-on conditioning. That's your core personality, your genetics, how you've been environmentally exposed. So that area at the back of the stage, this subconscious area, if you pulled the curtain back, yes, you could look in there. And that's the power that we do have with belief systems, is that if we work backwards consciously, we can begin to identify and articulate belief systems. So it's sort of like you pull back the curtain and you're catching someone without their clothes on. Oh, there it is. And you have to catch it, okay? You have to go, look, quick, there it is. And the way that we do that is we work backwards from what's consciously presenting. So what's typically consciously presenting is what we can and cannot do, where we set goals, but then our behavior is inconsistent with the goal we have set. So then we're frustrated, disappointment, annoyed at ourselves, maybe a bit depressed, feeling like we're procrastinating or self-sabotaging. All of that is reflective of the goal that I've set, whether it be in my company as a leader, whether it be my family, my community, wherever you're leading, could be in your personal health, whatever, finance, wherever you set a goal and then you're not taking action that's consistently aligned with it, that's reflective there's something hiding behind the curtain. There's a belief there. And of course, beliefs, yes, once you identify them, you then need to have a strategy for changing them. So typically, historically, you either do logic flooding, which is where you have to do quite a lot of, like writing out things of why a belief isn't true, and you try to invalidate it with logic. That's conscious work. That's using the little muscles to do the big heavy lifting. Okay, that's very time intensive. Often it's not completely thorough as well. It will often loosen things up where you're like, oh, I'm starting to see it from a different perspective maybe, but doesn't produce the big radical shift. I like to say that we loop until we leap, okay? And so often we'll just do a whole bunch of conscious looping when we do that work of trying to address beliefs consciously. Then when we address them subconsciously with subconscious processes and neuro-repatterning, the shift is instant. And the example of the client who was talking about the belief that we identified that my professional opinion isn't valid, I got an update this morning. She's like, I've just had the best day of writing ever, in terms of she's now putting her opinion out. She's now got the free flow. So the behavior we know because we measure the behavior. So like I said, we look by looking at where we set goals or we have desired behaviors and then we're not acting consistent with them. And then the way to test if the belief was changed is that you are then taking that action. You then have that new behavior. You're having new thoughts that give you more choices and enable you to develop pathways towards those goals that you've set. That's how we measure it, okay? Not because I feel a little bit better, not because they said it was good, or not because the practitioner or my list says that that's meant to be right. It's that my behavior changes. I say that it's not learning unless the behavior has changed. And oh my goodness, have I felt a lot of that in my life where the behavior hasn't changed, and it's meant that I've had to keep going and find new techniques, develop new techniques, put hybrid techniques together. So in my Enough Already private Facebook community, that's where people go who are interested in this type of change, in this type of subconscious work where they can go, here's the goals physically, materially, and behaviorally that I'm setting, and I want the strategies to work towards that. So primarily I work with large privately owned businesses in a transformational coaching approach. So we're doing organizational structure, strategy, and then we're dealing with this psychology component. But we can't have the structure and strategy without the psychology. So that's why they were always ended up back together for me. So please feel free to join that private Facebook group. It's called Enough Already. Enough already, enough of the BS, enough of taking in conditioning from people saying, oh, just change your belief system. Just stop thinking that thought. Oh, just behave differently. No, continually feeding those concepts into ourselves means that we end up not trusting ourselves, because we're like, well, if somebody else can do it and I can't, well, I'm the asshole. I'm the one who can't do it. I'm the one who's stupid then. And we're often then just reinforcing existing limiting belief paradigms. And, you know, I'm interested in limiting beliefs because they're what stop us living our values aligned life. So they are what stop us from, you know, enjoying the satisfaction and fulfillment of everything that we've created so far. They're what keep us on the treadmill of more, more, more. It's never enough. I'm not enough. It's not okay. I'm not okay. Beliefs are such an incredible turnkey. And like I said, we have a lot of power because we can peek behind the curtain on that border of conscious and unconscious. Other issues that are more unconscious, we don't have the ability to just look in. You often need a facilitator to do that work with you to identify, but beliefs you can. So you can't necessarily stop thinking them because they are the determinant of thought. Like I said in the post here, that's like saying, oh, just cook the cake, put the cake in the oven. But if you don't turn the oven on, if you miss the critical mechanics, we're not going to get the result we want. And again, we're going to come back to, see, I'm the idiot who can't cook a bloody cake, when we're looking at the wrong area mechanically. So please stop, if we can, enough of the BS around that I should be able to change my belief systems, I should just be able to do new behavior. No, if it's in your subconscious, it needs to be distinguished and changed subconsciously. And in the Enough Already group, I give strategies and techniques, and I have a specific technique that I teach just for that. So please go in and join that Facebook group. The link is there. And also, if you feel like this has resonated with you around what you're dealing with your business, where you're looping, and you know, sometimes we're leaping in other areas and we're looping in the same old ones. And that's where we need our support and attention. You know, we can't do this alone. I've not done all my growth alone. I wouldn't, you know, that the main thing when I wanted to do really significant changes in my business, in my codependency relationships, in my addictive behaviors and trauma stuff, I went and found what I thought were the best people at the time. And I was really fortunate. I found people like Dr. Joanna Martin, who is the top of her field. She's so inspiring. And it was just the biggest blessing. So don't expect yourself to do this stuff on your own, especially subconscious things like beliefs, okay? We need professional support. These are serious, decent bits of our lives that, you know, we don't necessarily want to DIY those, all right? We've already probably been working through and looping on areas where we're trying to DIY, like, oh, I should just be able to change that belief. I should be able to logically think it through, or someone could just tell me to stop thinking that. No, that's you developing a further relationship to yourself of, see, and I'm an idiot because I tried all these things and they didn't work, which just feeds another BS paradigm. So if that speaks to you around what you're dealing with, I've only got a few spots left for my end of year, coming up to the end of the year now, which is amazing. So if that's of interest to you, you want to talk to me about your company, your personal leadership goals, book in a chat with me. It's in the link there, emilydiamond.com.au/bookings. Love to talk to you. I'm very happy to chat with you just freely for a short 30-minute consult. It's no obligation, where we can have a heart-to-heart about where you're looping, what those goals are, how you know that the behavior is not in alignment with the goals. Okay. Love you all. Have an amazing afternoon. I'll speak to you soon. And enough already. Enough of that BS.